Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Bill. How are you, sir?
Good.
We're very official today. I'm good. Your tonality's weird.
I'm good.
Good. Okay.
I'm not awake.
Understandable. I would not be awake either if I was on kind of vacation on spring break.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
on
fair.
ranch, on vacation. I stopped working yesterday about 2:30. So I've kind of been.
That's legit.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. How was your day yesterday?
My day yesterday was really interesting. Excuse me. I went and had a beer for the second time in a year. Well, probably the third or the fourth time, honestly, because you meet people out occasionally. But I went out and had a beer with Al, who's one of the co-hosts with me on Sales Throwdown, and a friend of ours, Renee, who introduced me to actually a client. Good morning, Chris Rivera. Went and met a client and saw their new office, and we just kind of talked about the direction that they want to go on, because we've been talking about bringing them on a salesperson, but they're like, do we really need this? And so we're kind of talking through the math of like what makes more sense. The video editing firm, so to replace the owner as a video editor is going to be somewhat expensive. Replacing him on the sales side is going to be less expensive and less leverage because it's a commission-based, not wholly commission-based, but largely commission-based position, right? So balance there is huge. But they're like, well, if we can just get good lead gen, I'm like, yeah, if you can just get good lead gen. Like, lead gen is hard. Not hard, but to do it right, to get that right balance, it takes time and effort and refinement, and the willingness to test, because it's uncomfortable sometimes. Because what happens to our lead flow?
Yeah.
If there are a bunch of unqualified leads who are never going to be buying at a regular time anyway, you really need them taking up salespeople's time. Right. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
that is it. That is the special sauce. You figure things out.
They were. I'm in a Facebook conversation with someone, and they are saying, well, we are looking at lead gen, we're looking at software and a VA, or we're looking at a salesperson, and they all seem to be about the same amount of cost. And I was like, okay, the same amount of cost, huh? What kind of timeline are you estimating this cost on, right? Because they all have their own unique concerns and issues, and they all have their own different needs to do well. So
yeah, it's true. And that's what's crazy is there's the fact that they could all be the same cost, or you could talk to somebody else and they could be, and every single one's a different cost. I don't know which one to pick.
Well, because I mean they are all different costs. There's a lot of difference between bringing on like an SDR style agency to do warm-ups and outreach for you, and finding a VA, especially if that VA is not trained, right? Someone has to train this VA. Right. And if you go the salesperson route, there's a bunch of ways that goes wrong. I think that the salesperson route is the right way to do it, obviously, because of who I am, but there's a lot of potential pitfalls and gaps if you don't do it the right way, right? When you manage around behaviors, it's a lot easier to be like, hey, did you do your reach outs this week, as opposed to what did you close this week, right? So just like with kids, right? You reward like good tasks, good energy, not you're smart, but hey, you did that really well. Stuff like that is crucial to building like real confidence. Same thing happens in your salespeople. Like, hey, did you do the activities? Did you do the things necessary? Not what you closed this week, champ. And these things that sales managers ask.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, I was thinking about that the other day. It's like asking, like a basketball player, how many points did you score in the game last night? And he's like, well, 2. And you're like, oh, well, that's got to change. But he only played 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's always another data point, right? Yeah. And it's so funny because there's this other sales coach who I'm friends with on Facebook, and his approach is different. He's like, treat every lead like you bought it. And I'm like, ooh, I don't like that, right? Because like, I'm not trying to talk you into anything. I'm trying to see if there's a mutual fit, right? And it's so funny because I think everybody's view of like what I'm doing, you know, that meme of like what I actually do, what my mom thinks I do, you know, like I don't want to sell that way. Like I'm not trying to talk you into seeing value in something that you've not seen value in before. Like why would I waste my time to do that when there's so many other people who at least have an inkling that they might want help, right?
So I think your friend's saying does have some merit. And one part of it, though, is that you should always be really present in the conversation. So you shouldn't just fly through phone calls, you know, like just.
That's fair. I mean, we can find a way to make it fit. You know,
like actually have a full conversation where you're actually trying to figure out about their business, and it takes some time to, you know, get to know people sometimes, just depending on who it is.
I get it, right?
That's
like,
funny. Yeah.
I totally get it, and I think that we can make it fit for that, and that would be totally fine. But that's not his jam, because the same guy talks about how he followed up with one prospect for 52 weeks, and then they bought.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you couldn't have found, I don't know, 150 to 500 other prospects that didn't require 52 weeks of follow-up and chasing?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Anyway.
Yeah, well.
What are you going to do?
Not that.
Not that. I mean, I'm not. Some people will. Like, great. Cool.
Yeah. Yes. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Michelle.
Good to see you. And thanks for my my Wednesday morning chicken video.
What?
She sent me a video in Facebook that said Happy Wednesday, and it was just a video of one of her little stalls.
Oh, okay. Yes, I got that as well. I was like, what are you talking about that one for?
That was funny.
Man, so what do you have this week? Or I'm sorry, not this week, but today.
So today, I'm doing some copy and some story brand breakdown for client.
Mm-hmm.
I am doing an extended writing period today. Actually, on my calendar on Monday, had it today as an extended day.
So what does extended mean?
I'm not telling you.
Hey man, it's your book. You do what you want.
Well, I'll give you 15 minutes. I've got an hour to decide for it.
Okay.
Yeah, and let's see. I've got some follow up with the team on just a few things, kind of outstanding. So it's not a super heavy day.
Nice.
Also, I've got a call this afternoon with someone I met on the Slack channel for BMS coaches. I'm going to walk through some information that's been working well for us with her, and that's what my day looks like. How about you?
We have sales practice lab this morning, and then I have a call with Shivam. Then I have a call with Carrie, who has been just epic this week. Oh, I'm so happy. What is that call? I have a discovery call with a brand new connection, and then I have training with Dan today. So kind of a light day by comparison. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to do some reading because I'm trying to read my book so that way I can, be done reading the book with like final edits and everything. Just very uncomfortable. So trying to make myself do that because for some reason I'm avoiding it. I'm not really sure why.
Yeah.
Well, I know why, right? Because like when this is done, it's like done, and then it's like I have to like put it out there, and that's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. So is this okay? So I'm just curious from an uncomfort level. Okay, 2 questions. First one, just quick fire, 1 to 10. What's your uncomfort level around releasing the book, like being done with it?
Probably an 8.
Okay. So then the second question is what is the big thing that's making you like worst that could happen? Like that's sort of like, oh my gosh.
Oh, well,
so uncomfortable.
So
I'm not giving you the what's the worst could happen speech. I'm like trying to figure out what part's making you feel like ugh.
So it's a combination of things, honestly. One, for whatever reason, this format I have no problem with, right? I I can just kind of go, which is why Clubhouse is a good platform for me. This is and attempt. It makes me uncomfortable sometimes for as much content as I write and as much content as I put out. It makes me uncomfortable to not be there when you read my content, because I'm like, you're gonna have questions. Let me help you out.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So my concern is the book is gonna do like that same. It's supposed to, honestly, right? It's supposed to like make people ask questions, so then they reach out and they enter my circle. If they want to work with me, they can. If they want to hang out, that's okay as well. I don't know. I don't know why. The other part of it is Melissa killed it on the editing of this thing, right? And really did a lot to expand and help. And so part of me, I think, is a little bit worried that as I read this thing, like I'm not gonna like find my ideas in it.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like it's gonna feel like a little bit of a different book now that it's been through an editor.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which if I'm almost sure it will.
Oh, it's already vastly different, but like not in like a bad way. As I'm reading it, it's this kind of weird thing of normally when I'm like reading my stuff, like I always know my stuff. Like, oh yeah, right. Even if it's been a couple of years, I just know it, right?
Yeah,
so,
yep.
So my concern was that I was going to read this and just have like a whole bunch of imposter syndrome, but like that has not been the case so far. As I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, like here's my stuff and here's healthy, welcome additions to this. Oh, this is how it's supposed to work. Okay, great. So far it's been good and it's getting easier, but for some reason I was just kind of like turning away from it, not really meaningfully. So.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned once before that the permanence of a book in your mind, of that information is just out there now.
Yeah. I don't know why that feels different to me. I mean, because between Adaptive Growth and between Sales Throwdown and between John Small Mountain and everything, like there's I don't know, probably 3 or 4 books of content, right?
Oh yeah.
But like not in a book, book. I don't know. It just sounds weird.
Yeah,
book. You want to buy my book? So yeah, that's, I don't know. It's an odd spot to be in, right? Because the other thing is like I don't know the next step, right? So when I don't know the next step, it's very hard for me to get excited about doing this step as fast as I can, because then I'm like, there's nothing for me to look forward to. So this just has all the time in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I'm a weirdo.
I get that. No, I get that. I think that makes sense too. Because when you know you're going, it's easier just to kind of gallop along. But when it's the end, like, okay.
Well, you've been talking about this like the past couple of weeks about like how we work differently, how you're this kind of like flash in the pan and I'm more this like slow, steady burn. But like the thing is I need some very particular components to be in that slow, steady burn, because essentially that's like a flow deep work state, right?
Yep.
One of those things is very clear expectations about the work and what happens at the end, and being pushed a little bit out of your comfort zone is another trigger for this whole thing. Mm-hmm. Good time, like knowledge without having to be mindful of it, is another one for me as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I can do this stuff. But like if I don't know I'm going to do this and 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 this without having to go find it, then it's hard for me to get in those states. So that's the thing I've been noticing.
We talk about celebrating small wins quite a bit. Have you set up some small wins along this process? Like this particular one, not reading and writing conclusion and getting to the next steps. Have you set anything up for yourself that way?
What's weird is not really, right? And normally I'm pretty good about like setting traps for myself, right? And like little rewards. I don't know. I'm kind of viewing this time as kind of like restriction, right? Trying to restrict myself, like trying very hard not to buy stuff off of Amazon, right? Because I was falling way too much into that. Oh, I want this, I'm just going to buy it, and then I buy it, and then I don't do anything with it, right? So trying to do more with less. So I've not been buying a lot of things. I don't really have a whole lot of like success traps, because it's weird, because you would think, knowing me, that like once the book launches, I'm going to go do X, like that's pretty normal for me, but I don't even have that in my view at all.
Yeah. I think it would be cool, because I've actually been doing this. Same thing, like I slow down like my success or traps or whatever around buying things and trying to find other ways to reward myself Just number one, because it's smart from a budget standpoint. But,
yeah.
but number two, not to get too philosophical, but like just not making everything about stuff, right? Like what are other ways I can reward myself? And so that's just kind of like a thought, like to journal on, or to like what else would make me feel like I won. That's not a thing I bought,
And so much of like my time and like effort and energy is just like into this, right? And I'm like trying to get it to like a certain level so I can replace myself and start on the next thing. Like that's really the only win I'm like tracking towards like right now.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Which is a long way from today, meaning it's not tomorrow and it's not next
Correct.
Wednesday.
Yes.
So those small wins is super important. That's why we talk about them, right? So
for sure. But like the other thing that can, the way that I think about it is that you have to know the weekly activities, right? The things you have to do each week to get to this goal, to get to the outcomes that you want and stuff like that. And at this point, I've been kind of running off of that kind of cadence of like, do these activities, that the activities themselves are not difficult, right? It's maybe appreciating that like an activity is not as helpful as I think that it is in the moment, right? When I'm like networking in like a Facebook group or something like this, or like a Slack community, am I really getting good stuff from that, good connections, good introductions and stuff? I don't know. It's
there's an interesting balance because there's the Stephen Pressfield kind of thing where it's you just do the work and the work is the enjoyment, and by finishing the work, like you say, chop wood, carry water. But then there's also the other side of it, which is that you have to find ways on the days that you're not into that headspace to win anyway, and so you create these kind of small gamifications or something day to day, because if it was as easy as just putting the work in place and doing it, we'd all be billionaires.
I mean, God, this is going to sound kind of crappy, but like
it's simple, it's not easy.
Okay, yes, that's true. That is very true. But like when you build the system that solves for thinking that we're going to have more confidence, more persistence, more grit later on I'm going to do that on Saturday. Really? You're going to get up on a Saturday and do that when you're not willing to do it on a Tuesday? Mm-hmm. Like what? Like this is how I like think about it myself. I'm going to get up early on Saturday morning and I'm going to write a little bit of content. Wait a minute, idiot. No, you're not. You're going to want to sleep in on Saturday. And then even if you do get up early, you're going to want to play video games. Don't trust yourself. Write it now or schedule it. Right? And that is the endless conversation. Right?
Yeah.
And so now I think this is fascinating. My calendar now is like my boss. It just tells me what to do. Right? And one of the things about being your own boss, right, is like doing the hard things, doing them consistently and doing them regularly. I don't have to like make myself do hard stuff anymore because the calendar is just my boss kind of deal. So if it's on the calendar, it's going to get done. That's it.
Okay. So is reading your book on your calendar this week?
No, it's not. Right. I've been doing it in the evenings because I've been considering it non-work activity.
What?
What?
a workbook that you're trying to put out to gain more business is a work activity. That's
but
funny.
Reading it is not a work activity because it's not immediately revenue generating. So I have specific times where I do non-immediately revenue generating stuff, write, create, idea, connect to the why, all that stuff. Some weeks I have more of it than others, but revenue generating stuff has got to be in the time whenever other people are available to be part of that, right? So like networking and selling and discovery and all of that stuff, I have to go do it when like the striking is hot. So like afternoons is when my calendar goes nuts with like calls and networking and everything else. So reading the book, I can do that in the evenings. It's not taking away from any time for the other activities. So that's when it is.
Levi, good morning, Levi. Can the book generate revenue before you finish the read?
I think for some people it could, not for me.
Yep.
Right. I'm a little too.
Yeah. Not for
John. John's version of an MVP is a little further along than most other people's version of an MVP.
Right. There should be a different acronym, probably.
Yes, we have this new LinkedIn guide that we wrote, we put out. It's about how to like navigate, or how to use Navigator, also how to network, everything else. We're going to put it up on the AppSumo marketplace. And so I've got it out to a couple of people, and I'm like, hey, like, what is this? Like, give me your thoughts, give me your feedback. How much would you pay for this and everything? And then I sent it to Carrie, and she's like, ship this. And I was like, well, I'm waiting on feedback. And she's like, no, this is good enough. Just ship it. And I was like, it's not good enough. I don't know enough, So
here's step 2 in the Carrie process, right? Right now, you're loving being the punching bag.
No.
3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks from now, she's gonna be like, ship it. You're gonna be like, I'm the boss. I don't want to.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right? Because if that conversation is happening, one of two things has happened. Either, or maybe one of three things, right? One is you don't understand the goals, right? Which is a failure on my part. I didn't do a good enough job of communicating this to you. Two, you don't understand how this fits into the goals in my view of it, which is once again a thing, because then we can have a conversation and then you can say, hey, I don't think we should do this. And you might be right. I'm okay with that. Yeah. And then the third one is just maybe you're not the right person to work with me. Right? They're like, and that sounds like pretty cutthroat, but it's like, hey, there's a lot of people who are not going to want this spot. Totally okay with that.
Right.
Because like the one person who does want this spot is perfect, and we go make lots of money and help lots of people. And both of those things are great. So, but I'm not going to ask anybody else to do anything that I'm not willing to do, right? And one of the big things about like me, I feel like, is that I'm pretty coachable. I'm pretty open to feedback. I'm pretty open to being wrong. Is right, just like everybody else is, when it's delivered in the right format. So Carrie has got this ability of delivering it in a way that like kind of like smacks me over the head with the frying pan, but doesn't actually like brain me into oblivion, if that makes sense.
Right. You're not on the ground from the hit. You're still standing.
Exactly. She messaged me, today's Thursday. So she messaged me on Tuesday afternoon, and she was like, hey, how you feeling today? And I was like, pretty good. And she's like, well, I'm being a little aggressive. And I was like, we haven't even hit assertive. Like you can take the gloves off. Let's go. So, we're still just kind of figuring out how the other person works, really, but it's been awesome so far. So she's like, ship this thing. And I'm like, I don't have feedback. I'm not sure how much to charge for it. It's, Melissa's got to design it. So I'm not just going to put up a Google Doc in the.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, it's fun. Her sense of urgency is invigorating for me because, while I have a sense of urgency, it's tied to different motivations than hers is, which is interesting. Very interesting. Okay,
so final thought then on the book. When are you going to get Carrie involved with getting that book out the door? Because it sounds like that's what it's going to take.
She's already involved, actually. You should have seen her message to me whenever I told her that I hadn't read the book yet. It was filled with 4-letter words that made me realize that I was being ridiculous about it.
So I just found the key. Then I got to start cussing at you.
They're. So one of the things. This is actually kind of interesting, right? Because I learned this through DISC. So when you show like as a CE, I put a lot of effort into facts, research, data, and everything else like this, right? So when I have an opinion, it's based around that research. So when you show up and you say, hey, your opinion sucks, I'm just going to get pissed. I'm just going to get really, really mad because my opinion is tied to this research that I know you haven't done. It doesn't mean that I'm right. But when you show up and say that like I'm dumb for having my opinion based upon this research, that's just flawed logic. It just doesn't even compute to me, and I just get mad.
Well, it's incomplete. Yeah. Start. Yeah.
But if you show up and you say, hey, John, I think maybe your thinking on this is a little bit flawed. Where did you get this from? Why are you approaching it this way? Then I can show you where that came from and that thought, and then we can have the discussion, right?
Right.
This is what sales is. This is everything on the planet. This is coaching. This is working with your team. This is everything else. When you can draw it out a little bit to really understand why they feel that way, you then have an opportunity of changing their minds because they feel like they were heard. But when you're in a hurry and they don't feel like they even heard you, it's just like your kids when they're, but, you know, trying to get back on Minecraft. But Dad, like, I gotta finish the spot. But Dad, no, I've spoken.
Yes,
you know,
I've spoken.
So
that's right. Well, the interesting thing is that you and I both talked about in the last 3 to 4 weeks something that we know we should have already done, and we can continue not to do in different spurts, right? And all the logic and conversation about why it should be done and how it is on our calendar still does not create action. And so that's the fascinating part of the human psyche to me, that is, I know the answer, I have a system, I've put it in the system, and it's still not happening certain days. So that's the fascinating part, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Well, then today, what's the deal today? You got anything that's gonna get in your way, or?
I mean, just me per usual. After the chat with Dan, I don't have anything on the calendar, so I might spend some time reading when I should be doing other stuff. Right? We'll see how I feel at that time.
Yeah, see you.
But decent day. Today is 311 day, which is like kind of a big deal for 311 fans, right?
Yeah.
There is a live stream tonight. They're playing an album front to back that came out. Like, this was the very first show that I saw them on, right? It was 311, Sugar Ray, and Incubus, right? Like, and no one knew who Incubus was. Like, this is way back in the day. I was a sophomore in high school. Ooh. Or maybe a junior. I don't know. So they're playing that album front to back. It was a big deal when the album came out because, like, CDs could only hold so much data on them, and they had filled like every second of space on the CD. It's 21 tracks, which is kind of a lot for a CD. So,
yeah. I can't remember one. Yeah, the only ones I remember having even near that close as much where it would be like a double disc, and they'd have like 18 on one and like together or something. So that's a ton. Yeah,
that's a lot of music.
That's awesome. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's going to be super cool. And going to be hanging out with a friend of mine, another entrepreneur buddy that I've known since high school, Kevin. He's also a fan. So he's in LA. So we're going to live stream and hang out on Discord and all that stuff together. So it'll be fun.
Nice. Very cool. Well, I'm just going to do ranchy things. So,
just got to do ranchy things. Yeah. What is included in ranchy things, Jake?
I'll let you know once they happen, because this is not my normal abode. You know, like there was fire, outside the first night, and there was
there was a fire on your range?
Like a fire pit, like a place to cook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there's cows out the window and all that sort of fun stuff that happens. I'm going to be chill. I'm going to read. I'm going to write.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to, sit on the porch and stare wistfully off into the clouds.
I'm jealous. I'm super jealous. I haven't even been on a walk this week for some reason. I've been struggling in the mornings. I need to figure something out.
Yeah. I'm still rearranging mine. I'm still trying to figure out the best time of day for my workout. I'm someone that needs food before I strength train, blood sugar and stuff like that. So like even timing meals based on the workout and stuff, is a consideration I need to take.
There's your problem, Jake. Just stop strength training, bro.
Yeah.
Life's a lot easier when you're not having to coordinate like kind of intense dietary schedules with a lifting schedule on top of a lot of work. Just take out the first two things and just do a lot of work, man. That's what right. This guy's doing.
Well, only if my hair will do that. A promise of that mane might get me to just go to yoga. Because then I can have a top bun and be a yoga guy,
Hey man, your hair could do a version of this. Just like my hair is doing a version of Jason Momoa's doing this.
Oh, okay. I'll follow that one.
Right? Because it's like, man, if my hair grows out, I look like Jason Momoa. Nope. Looks like me trying to look like Jason Momoa. Yes. So you can look like me trying to look like Jason Momoa if you want.
Oh, God. Yes. Wolfing game. There you go. This is trying to look like you. It's trying to look like Jason Momoa.
Oh man, I don't even know where Jason Momoa came from. Maybe it was just like the first guy I thought of with long hair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's got to be on your man crush list then, because anytime someone brings up a bald dude, I'm like, oh, like The Rock, or oh, Jason Statham, because those are the models for.
It's funny because The Rock has been bald for like a long time now, but like is not originally a bald dude, right? I mean, he had like a career with like that super short fade, for a while, and then obviously when he was younger,
started with a flat top.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, man. I guess we should go to work.
All right, guess so. Let's go do some things. I'm gonna go do some hard things. That way
they get do some hard things. Some hard like ranchy things. You're gonna put on like your Carhartt jacket and then just like sit on the porch
and swing an axe. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm still hung up on you doing your final read through on your personal time. Have you already touched on the pain that is making you create such obstacles for yourself? I mean, the pain is just not having my revenue where I want it to be. So like that is the bigger pool of pain. And here's the deal, right? The other side of this is like just trying to balance my own expectations of this. I'm not Ryan Holiday. I'm not like a known author. Like this thing is not going to come out and then overnight I wake up and like things are different. Like that's not what this book is going to be about. I don't know that I'll ever write a book that's what that's going to be about. Maybe, hopefully. So part of going slow is to just make sure that I'm not building this up in my head, so that way on launch date, when I'm like, where's my trucks of money, that doesn't happen. So.
Yep. I think this wouldn't necessarily be the stoic thing, but it's like, there's no money, just publish the book. That like, just forget about the money, publish the book is like my mindset. Like,
no, exactly. But
so I'm
the thing is,
I go to publish, not to get money.
For sure. No, exactly. Right. And that is my mindset. But if I sit down and I plow through the book, right, it's going to get me excited about it. Right. So I'm just aware of that. Right.
Yep.
So,
all right. Well,
thank you to Chris Rivera, Mernon. Hope your Mernon is good. Good. You want to read my book? Michelle, good morning. Levi, thank you all for hanging out with us today. And guys, I'm just going to say this. So far, Facebook's been a platform.
I know, it's coming. Yeah. All our real friends are on Facebook watching, going, what are they doing? They're crazy. I got to check this out.
What's weird is like, there's no really great way to send people to it now. Like I can send them to you, right? And they can go connect with you, and that's all well and good. But these don't even really live on your page anywhere.
They're posts.
I know, but like it doesn't work the same way as like Facebook, to where like if I go click on your profile and just scroll down far enough, it's going to show me stuff that you have posted.
Yeah.
It's got that little bitty crappy window that you have to click into to go see everything, and it's like it's not great UX at all.
No, that's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not really, how they are. They're 2 years behind on all tech, it seems like.
So let's invite people to come on and like create live content on this platform, and then give nobody a really great way to like send people to it. That makes a ton of sense. We should just go to YouTube.
Microsoft.
We should just go to YouTube.
Microsoft. Yeah, right. I know.
Right. Own the channel. Screw LinkedIn. Right. Thanks a lot, Reed.
Maybe we can restream to LinkedIn. Then at least the content's there if people want to read it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think anybody reads it, but maybe one day.
Have a great day, John.
I'm just saying that, like, I
we don't have an audience there right now.
No, I mean, well, but we don't, because like of how the platform is built. We can't have an audience there. You can have an audience because you have LinkedIn Live, right? And I'm not even concerned about that. My concern is that I can't say, hey, go here and watch this thing. It's go here, connect with Jake, go here and click on this window, and then go here and do this.
Right.
And then just hope you're on.
It's not easy, that's for sure. Because technically they have post links to their posts, just like Facebook does. Just you can't show up like you can on a page and it's just going. Yeah. Which is, once again, LinkedIn does different.
What I'm going to say, good game, Gabe.
Right.
Like,
But he has a personal show. He doesn't have a company show, right? Like ours.
How is it not the same thing?
Well, ours is on the company page on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And so we have a company page with a URL that's customized that we can send people to that features us on a show, and Facebook has better UX. Gabe has just like we do right now, except my name's on it. But Gabe has Gabe's show on LinkedIn that he's worked really hard to build an audience for.
No, absolutely.
So when he goes live, people watch it because they're connected to him already, and he's worked to build an audience. So the difference is Facebook makes it easy for you to consume video content if you're not connected.
Okay, question then, sir. You're pretty particular about who you let into your network.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change?
Based on just having people watch our show?
Based on the show is running under your profile. So
that's a good question.
So your standard vetting might be pretty stringent in limiting to the audience.
Possibly. There's a follow button too. So
that's fair.
So
but now we're just introducing like mountains of friction. You know that tiny little bitty follow button over here on the far left-hand corner of the screen? Go click on that thing for us.
Good thing we streamed it like 7 channels. They can just give LinkedIn the bird.
Well, because like then the other part of me is already like, okay, how do we improve this? How do we improve this? Mm-hmm. And the other part of me is like, what if we did this at like 4:15?
I know.
In the afternoon, like what? Yep. How different would it be?
Yep.
Would it be like massive? Maybe not, right? Because I feel like every networking group I've ever been in or part of, they'll be going on like one day, and then someone's like, if it just wasn't this day, I could come. And then enough people say that, and then you move it to the most popular day, and then what happens is that all the people that were going on the other day now no longer come, and the other people who were just like looking for a very convenient reason not to come anyway continue not to come, and then the group is gone. So. Wait, does that mean you aren't connected with me? I don't blame you. Mine is out of date big time.
On LinkedIn with me.
Oh.
I think I already connected with Levi actually yesterday or the day before. I've always had this thing that if we talk live at a networking event and like we had a conversation and like I know who you are, like I'll take those connections because those are face-to-face connections that are real life relationships. It's the ones that they're all virtual connections that I tend to be far more stringent on. So.
Nice. Man, I have a lot of messages on LinkedIn. This is what my new direct message that I send to people, like, hey, I'm here to network and connect and send referrals.
That's your post.
Yeah. One person was like, this sounds like a sales call. I was like, it's always going to sound like a sales call. Then let's just not do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like it used to be that I'd be like, man, there's got to be something I can say. There's got to be like some people just don't network. They just don't, right? That their walls are too far up, right? And that's okay. You're not going to get to those people. Those people are probably terrible prospects anyway. So move on.
It's about the word networking. There are like 5 different definitions. That's what it comes down to. Because a lot of people, a fair percentage, think that networking means I'm going to make some business buddies.
Yeah,
that's networking to them. And then if eventually work comes up, maybe we can get some referrals. Like that is a definition of networking for I think a fair amount of people. I couldn't put a percentage on it, but John loves that definition.
I hate that definition. Like there's no. I mean, because like I have lots of business buds. I have lots of like friends that are like networking connections and stuff like that, and they all know what I do.
That's not networking. That's a connection. That's not networking.
No, I know, but like those come from networking.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying the purpose of a lot of people showing up to networking events, that is their purpose. I'm going to meet some cool people who are in business, and maybe someday we'll refer some business to each other. And you're like, no
way.
I'm here to find, the right connections.
Yeah, it's a system. I know typically who's going to be a good referral source for me and who typically has a lot of conversations with things that are overlapping to indicate that maybe they're a good prospect for me. Right. So when I'm going into the networking thing and, the ambit rep stops me and like, hey man, like what do you do? I'm going to put in the appropriate amount of polite FaceTime and then I'm booking. Like you're not on my list. And while we might want to be friends, like I'm here on a mission first to come get at least 2 people. Every networking thing I go to, I'm looking for 2 people that I should follow up with, because either you're going to be a good referral source or you're genuinely interested in what I do.
So that's what I do on LinkedIn.
Each day, you just go find 2 people?
No, but I have at least 2 people reaching out each day. So I only take people that are going to be qualified to me as a good referral source or a potential client.
But cool, I get that.
Yeah, that's.
But how do you know that if you don't have the conversation?
Well, sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. Yeah, but I'm not going to create the connection that I have to uncreate unnecessarily. I'm going to try the 80-20 approach, because I'd rather.
That's fair.
I'd rather look at their profile and look at their content and go, that doesn't even look close to me. Okay, bye. No thanks. Ignore.
I vet connections entirely differently on Facebook and LinkedIn. Like on Facebook, I'm gonna go look at your content, right? If your content is not driven around like business or entrepreneurship, probably not going to connect with you. If I go over on LinkedIn, it's much more like silo driven, like real estate agents, marketing agencies, and stuff like this, and also freight. Done some stuff in the freight world, so I've got a connection. I've got a lot of connections there as well. So it's just interesting. Different platforms, different methods, but that's how it should be, because the audiences are different on these different platforms.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Let's go get to work. The boss is unhappy.
The calendar.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow, Friday.
Absolutely. Cheers, everybody.